guest, Zephania from, some of you may know Zephania already from MC3, but he has now moved on and will be partnering with us today to give us a bit of information on fabric. You know, we've been having discussions surrounding fabric for the last month or so. If you've been a part of our community calls as well, you would have been cued in on what we're doing with fabric. And so we want to have a session today just to get you up to speed, just to give you an understanding of what is going on with fabric, how you can utilize it, and what's the real advantage for you as a reseller to be utilizing fabric or for your customers. So as we begin today's session, I just want to give you again a little overview. As you know, once you hear me, you're hearing about Azure. And so we just want to give you a refresher. For those of you who are currently transacting Azure, you will know all of this. And for those of you who have not as yet, we just want to get an idea of when we think about Azure, what it is that what are we actually using? And a lot of the times you'll hear this part where you've been hearing, okay, cloud overall or Azure is just somebody else's computer, but it's a lot more than just somebody else's infrastructure that you're utilizing. You're thinking about Azure as one, the method of scalability, easy scalability, high availability for your workloads and for your environment, because you can have, of course, the high availability that's built in through the different redundancy tiers that Azure offers, or the ability to quickly spin up secondary sites, secondary solutions for your existing environments, whether they're on premises or whether they're in the cloud. So you have that built-in redundancy, that resiliency. The fact that Azure is offered over the internet, or it's a global solution, you have the better enablement for remote work. You can connect your branches that are in different locations. You have the ability to also connect your cloud resources to all of these various locations. So you don't have to use only your on-premises environment, or you don't have to use only cloud, depending on what the use cases are for your business. So you can connect your branch offices, remote offices, and your global locations with utilizing the cloud. You can enable modern solutions to be a part of your existing technology stack. So you have access to some of the cutting edge technology. One of them we'll be talking about with Fabric today. You have access to resources that for SMBs may be a bit tedious or expensive to source and to set up and maintain in a small environment, whereas you have those available to you in Azure. And because of the economies of scale, Microsoft is renting all of these services to multiple people. You can get some of these services at a lesser cost than it would take for you to set up that entire infrastructure on your own. You have flexibility for the businesses where it matters most. So companies may be looking towards modernizing their environment. They may be looking towards introducing different technologies or different solutions into the environment, but they already have an existing solution. They already have an existing environment, and you don't really want to throw that all away. So the flexibility comes in where you can add to your environment. You can create a completely new environment. You can have the flexibility of the remote connections or remote work. You can have the flexibility of understanding pricing and how you can go towards a operational expenditure model where you're paying on a subscription or monthly basis rather than getting all of your infrastructure payments upfront. And so you have the ability to then utilize the funding over a period of time in different areas of the business until your subscription time comes along. Then, of course, one of the things that a lot of persons have been asking and want to know, how secure is the cloud? Not because the cloud is publicly available or accessible over the internet doesn't mean that it's not secure. You have built-in security that comes by design. You can have security that you additionally use to harden the environment. And we'll take a look at that a little bit later. And then, of course, you can have your bring your own security. So if you have or are comfortable with other security solutions like Sophos or Fortinet or so on, and you have those in your environment and you want to connect those to the cloud, you have the ability to do so. So cloud is not just somebody else's computer. It is not a one size fits all. And that means there are a set of different solutions, myriads of different solutions that you can utilize to tailor to specific business needs. So what John Brown Corp is going to be using doesn't necessarily mean that's what Jane Brown Corp is going to be using. You can tailor the solutions to fit your business, whatever the business size. It allows that flexibility. It enables businesses, smaller organizations, access to technology that they would previously not have access to or had a wider gap to fill to get to that stage. And then, of course, it fits into your organization, whatever stage, whether you're brand new, existing, conglomerate, corporation, whatever the case, whether you have existing infrastructure or not, you can utilize the cloud. Azure is not a magic pill for bill reduction, and everybody has heard the riling up of, oh, the cloud is cheaper, the cloud is better for your costing, so on. That may not always be the case. In many cases, you can have trade-offs with your cost, your efficiency, and your robustness of your solution. And we can't always have all three, right? And so the idea that we want to get behind is that Azure has, with its customizability, it has price flexibility and different ways that you can manage your costs throughout the life cycle of your environment. So you can do various things such as your Azure reservations for your compute resources. You have continuous optimization from the cost management side. You can do budget alerting, you can do auto shutdown of some resources, you can do a various or vast amount of things. And you also get recommendations from Azure based on your usage over time to ensure that you are operating in the most optimal way, and that can reflect in your prices. So upfront, it may be cheaper for some resources, it may be more expensive for some, but it all depends on what your organization needs. If you're going to need to have some resource or some solutions that will be more expensive, are you getting a good ROI off of that? And that's where we want to focus the conversation. What are you getting out for what you're putting in? And then, of course, back to the security side, it's not just accessible to just anyone because it's delivered over the internet. It's secured by design, and you can have additional hardening for your environment. So you have built-in security features that come out of the box. You have paid customizable security features that are within the platform. And then, of course, as I mentioned before, you can have integration with your third-party tools. So you can work with Sophos, you can work with Fortinet, you can work with other trusted brands that you have and utilize from either the Azure Marketplace or from a hybrid connection for your current environments. So as a reseller, why does this matter to you? Companies are now embracing the cloud, and it's your opportunity to step in and be the pioneer for the shift for your customers. This will provide you with ongoing projects with ACR, which is Azure Consumption Revenue, and the incentives that you receive from Microsoft for transacting Azure. You have increased revenue through ongoing maintenance, setup, and guidance with the platform for your customers. And so you have that recurring revenue coming on as well. So if you're not aware of the areas that you can actually provide services in, we have with the data and AI solutions, and one of them we're going to be speaking of. Stephania will bring you through the Microsoft Fabric, and you have security solutions for both your on-premises, your other cloud, and your cloud solutions. So if you have solutions in AWS or GCP or so on, you can extend security from Microsoft Azure. You have infrastructure solutions and hybrid solutions, meaning you can run your infrastructure or augment your infrastructure, and you can also connect it to your on-premises or existing environments already. And then, of course, you have in the realm of application development, modernization, and so on. This is not an exhaustive list, but these are some of the ones that you will commonly see among your customers. So just before I head over to Stephania, the opportunity here is that you have the wide open space to get into or get your customers moving towards the cloud. And there's many ways that we can drive that conversation and to kind of propel your customers to that direction. I support you with everything from the beginning of your journey with your customer to the very end when you have closed with your customers on Azure. So we go through your discovery sessions with you, with your end customers. We provide technical solutions and technical solution guidance and reviews, solution assessments, which you'll be hearing a bit more of in next week's community call. So please make sure that you're there, as well as a webinar we're going to be having on what the new additions to the solution assessment is. We provide you with right sizing for opportunities and estimations of costing and nomination for funding and other programs that help you to drive that closing process. So if any of these things have stuck out to you here, and some of you, I know we do work together on this, that just as a reminder, I am here for supporting all of those areas and more. And without further ado, I just want to segue to the solution that we'll be taking a look at today and introduce Stephania, who is partnering with us today. He is a data architect and Microsoft certified trainer, and we'll be going through the advantage or the opportunity when it comes to Microsoft Fabric.
All right. Good morning. Can you all hear me?
Yes, yes, hearing you.
All right, wonderful. So pleasant good morning to everybody. It's been a while since I've met some of you all, and I would just like to ask, just to get a little bit of engagement from everybody. You don't have to open your mics. But who on the call have heard of Microsoft Fabric before? Just use the raise hand feature. I'll be able to see. So I'm seeing only one person. Okay, so if it is at only one person, then I guess you're at the right place. All right. So again, pleasant morning, and thank you very much for taking the time to join the session this morning. Um, Today's session is not intended to be a deep technical walkthrough of Microsoft Fabric. If you want that, that'll have to be a session that you'll have to set up with me on your own. Instead, the goal of this is to explore why Fabric matters to you as a Microsoft partner. We all know the bottom line is your clients and making sure you give them the right solution. So this is understanding how you can explore and create the opportunities to help these clients modernize their analytics platforms and prepare for AI. It's not, when I say prepare for AI, it's not like if they're already using AI, they are, but to better prepare for how they can use AI. All right, we'll briefly cover what Fabric is, why the organizations are moving in this direction, especially in the Caribbean, and where you can start creating opportunities for these clients. Now, currently, there's a big shift in the market. Now, this is not just on a global scale, it is happening regionally. So over the last decade, most organizations would have invested heavily or partially in some sort of data platform. Even if they made an investment into Excel, they invested into a data platform. However, most of these environments today are fragmented. Some you have customers that have multiple data warehouses, some have multiple ETL tools, some have multiple spreadsheets, some have multiple databases that they're calling data lakes, right? And with that now we end up where we have a lot of duplicated data. We probably have some sort of person, one person in the organization who knows exactly how to connect this bit of data to that bit of data to give you this answer, because if you do it any other way, it's wrong. At the same time, everybody's checking ChatGPT. So AI initiatives are accelerating demand for better data foundations, because we all know AI is only as powerful as the data that supports it. So horrible data, horrible responses, right? Now we also know we need to improve our prompting as well, but as for now, we want to be able to make sure that we have a strong data foundation. And because of that, Microsoft then realized that they needed to switch away from just talking about Power BI, just talking about Azure data lakes. They needed to bring a solution. So in stepped in Microsoft Fabric. And Fabric is an end-to-end analytics platform delivered as software as a service. What it does, it brings together the capabilities that previously existed. So I mentioned a few things, so like data factory, data warehousing, data engineering, real-time analytics, and then of course Power BI. It brought all these together to bring in these workloads into a single platform environment. And the key idea here is all about simplification. Simplification for you as a partner, simplification for your customer who has to use this solution on a daily basis. So instead of them stitching together all of these services, or even you stitching it together, they can now run the entire analytics platform within Fabric, thus making that Fabric that unified stack for your data platform. Now, what does this Fabric architecture really look like? And again, I said this is not a technical session. So if it is like you want to see a video of what you can do in Fabric or see me do a demo, you can let me know in the question and answer at the end. But Fabric architecture really starts with your data sources. What are your data sources? Where is this data coming from? Is it that you have a database running in Azure, as Adrian was speaking about using Azure, where it's not your computer, you're using a cloud provider? Is it that your data is sitting somewhere there, or it's sitting on some sort of ERP system or some CRM system? Then you will take that data, put it into this unified data lake. So one lake is going to act as that unified data foundation where everything comes in. It's either you drag it in or you shortcut it in. But the main thing is to prevent duplication. And then above that, we'll have what we call your workloads. These are going to allow you to be able to manage the different aspects of your data. And finally, this is not where it stops. You get to those who will actually be using the system. So where your business users will consume the insights through tools like Power BI or even Copilot. But remember, the important takeaway is that Fabric has to unify, or Fabric is unifying the entire analytics stack for your customers. So it's bringing it all into this single platform. And this is what the platform looks like on a high level, a very, very high level, where you have your security and governance, your one lake for your data storage, and your AI being that core Fabric platform, and your workloads sitting on top of that. Now, that's the technical side to it at a high level. Why should Fabric matter to you as a Microsoft partner? So as Microsoft partners, the reason why Fabric is important is because it simplifies that architecture that we spoke about, that complex architecture that most of your customers have. And when I said complex, I'm not meaning like the amount of databases or how much data they have. Just knowing that they have a nightmare to be able to tell how are we performing this month, and somebody had to turn around twice to get that answer, that's complex. So instead of implementing these multiple tools and integration layers, you as a partner can design solutions within this unified platform. And this has several benefits. The first benefit that you're going to see is that it's going to accelerate your project delivery. Is this true? Yes, it is. It's going to reduce your architectural complexity, that's for sure. You have a clearer cost and solution positioning because now you're dealing with a software as a service solution as compared to platform as a service. Now, it also creates opportunities for you as a partner to help your customer modernize its legacy data platforms. And in the Caribbean, that's like one of the biggest pain points. Everybody is usually on some older solution. Now, they are improving and we're doing a lot better at it, thanks to you all. But This helps them modernize that legacy platform and move and prepare for the AI-driven analytics. Now, what a typical engagement would be like, you could typically reach out based on some of these common scenarios. So one of that will be data platform modernization, as we mentioned before, where you're replacing legacy warehouses. Another opportunity is expanding existing Power BI deployments. And I was at a conference where Microsoft was stating that the lowest hanging fruit, and it wasn't on the slide, it was actually that something that was said. The lowest hanging fruit is finding that customer that has that Power BI report that is just performing horribly. That is the guy that you want to tap on, right? You also want to look at organizations who are increasingly building AI ready data platforms, or who thinking, you know what, we would like AI to be forefront in how we go about doing things. And then last but not least, you can scale this up into a managed service that you provide for your customers. Now in the Caribbean, the market opportunities are real. And all of these that we're seeing here, I have encountered it, right? So it's not me just giving you fluff. So many industries across the Caribbean are already exploring advanced analytics and AI capabilities. And if they're not exploring the advanced analytics, they're just looking for analytics on the whole, right? So it could be small to medium size, or medium size to larger size. So in the financial services, we see a demand for risk analysis and regulatory reporting. In the retail and distribution, companies are focusing on inventory. That's a huge thing. And customer insights. Customer insights could also play a role in being able to scrub data from their social media accounts. Then we have the tourism and hospitality, which is a sector sometimes that's kind of neglected in a way, but those organizations want to be able to better forecast and to get better customer analytics, because they want to know what the customers are saying about how their service was. And then we have our governmental services, which we could also tie with our energy and utility service, because in the Caribbean, most of these energy and utility services would fall under government. But these companies are looking at their operational analytics, their predictive maintenance, because we all know how well we love to maintain things in the Caribbean. Now, these sectors, they represent sort of like a portion of those who will actually need it. There may be other markets that you can target. For myself, I have been seeing where people within the restaurant space are actually trying to find out how they can make their businesses better. So that's an opportunity that exists, and that could also tie in with your tourism and hospitality. Now, as I said, this is not a technical session, but it's just letting you understand the opportunity that's there. Now, it is not going to just come to you just so. It's not, it can happen. But you, when you speak to the clients, you can see some signals that they are ready to go to Fabric. Now, one of these, one of the biggest signals that we've seen is people just talking about AI. They want to know how they can use ChatGPT, how they can use Copilot, how they can use Gemini. I hope I missed any of the key ones, right? They just want to know how they can use that with their current data to get better insights. Or you have customers with multiple analytical tools, where, as I said, they have a bunch of Excel files and some SQL database somewhere and something else somewhere else, or even a third-party cloud solution that they're using, and they're trying to get analytics in that, probably a Zoho Books that have a built-in analytics platform, but that is not corresponding to the inventory solution. So you now have to find different ways to pull that data to give you a report. That's a nightmare. You also have the extensive data preparation. So maybe some companies say, no, we have data analysts, we have data engineers. But when you look at the way in which they spend their time, most of their time is spent just trying to prepare the data. And then we also have the executives that always talking about the single source of truth. Right now, that's a term that many of us would have heard so many times now, you probably just want to ignore it. But that actually is one of the biggest pain points, because what that means is that they are getting reports that's telling them one thing and the reality is another, and it could be because of data duplication. So we want to be able to know that, yes, this is telling me the truth. And these are some really good signals that, hey, this customer is ready to move to Fabric, because most likely they would have already been using Power BI, because Power BI is usually that starting point that you want to get to. So you could identify any of your existing customers who is using Microsoft Power BI or who's planning to use Microsoft Power BI. because maybe they're going to use Power BI, but in the wrong way. And then Fabric can actually give them that full platform that they need. Now, once you've identified these customers, you could then do sort of like a data platform assessment. I heard Adriana speaking about you having sort of like solution assessments. You could do a data platform assessment. Then, of course, the good old proof of value or proof of concept, whichever way you want to call it, a POC, you can run that with them, or you can give them access to a Fabric trial, which usually lasts about 60 days. Then you expand into enterprise analytics engagements. Now, you have to be careful with this step because when you expand into the enterprise analytics engagements, you have to be sure that what you've done before is ready to move into that bigger step because the architecture is going to get a little bit more complex. And then last but not least, you could deliver a managed analytics service. This is where you'll be getting that recurring revenue because now you could be doing sort of like a monitoring solution if they have pipelines, or you could be maintaining their dashboards, their reports, making sure that their users are getting access, that things are being shared the right way. If you set up sort of like a security solution within the entire data platform where only certain members of the company should see this, you could make sure on a periodic basis to check the data governance within these solutions. So you can build a managed analytics service out of this entire solution. Now, how can you get started with this to build this opportunity? Together with MC3, you have the opportunity, and with the partnership with EV Analytics, which is my company, you're able to get Fabric architecture guidance. You're also able to get the opportunity to create proof of concept deliveries. So it's not just that you giving them a trial. That trial is there for them to test out certain things. So they've given you some of their data, they'll test it, and then you go to the next step. You could also have partner enablement where you say, okay, you know what, we actually, because remember, there's only one guy raised his hand said he knew about Fabric. So maybe you just don't know anything about Microsoft Fabric and you want to get your team built up, then we can do partner enablement. You also have customer workshops where if the customer has now purchased Fabric and you want to train them to be able to use the solution better, you can do that. But the goal is to help you as a partner build confidence and capability. So remember that if you forget everything, MC3 is trying to get you to build confidence and capability while identifying meaningful opportunities for your clients. Now, Adriana would have shared a slide with her contact. Just remember, when you want to get in contact with MC3, you can reach out to either Shyla, Adriana, and they will then put you in contact with myself. But before I go any further, I'd like to find out if there are any questions. It can't be that it went over everybody's head. So somebody must have a question. Okay, we have a quiet audience. Oh, I guess we have a very receptive audience. Suresh, I see your mic is open. Are you going to ask a question?
Sure. Not necessarily about the fabric itself, but just understanding how the relationship works between MC3, yourself, and a partner in terms of monetization and creating this as a managed service. And is it that EV will be long-term involved as part of a managed analytics service? I'm just trying to understand what the relationship would be like long-term.
Oh, that's a fantastic question. So we are an enablement partner. So we are not going to be the partner that's be running the managed service. The managed service will be something that you'll create for yourself, and we will help you get that established, and then that be your thing running through. So it's not EV service, it is your service. And MC3 will always be that provider for where you get your licenses and you get your direct contacts with Microsoft.
So everybody gets something here. So MC3 gets Azure credit sales. I'm assuming that's what works.
Yes, correct. Adriana could add more to that, and Shyla.
All right. Okay.
Yes, we'll assist you with the provision of the licenses and any support you need in terms of integration, deployment. We would have Adriana and Stefania step in to assist to support you in the back end. Once
All right.
you find that opportunity or you think you have a lead that you want to explore, you just let me know and we will kick off a meeting to understand more and discuss the next steps. Mhm.
Great. We'll take, I have a lead and we'll take that offline. Okay.
No problem.
Okay, I see Michael has a question.
Hi, how are you doing? It sounds like a great opportunity. If you don't have any of the technical capabilities in terms of a team,
Mhm.
how does one look at engaging in these opportunities if you have prospective clients?
Okay, so I can answer on the technical side. So I have a team that I would lean on to make sure, well, myself and some other members that I lean on to be able to deploy solutions. But it always starts with what exactly it is that the customer has need of. So if it is that you want to have a discussion afterwards about some of the opportunities that is on your table, we could then create a roadmap as to where you can go for each of these.
Okay, because I'm listening in and out because I'm actually mobile moving at the moment, but it sounds like a good opportunity for a couple of the clients that I may know, but I just need to have a better understanding of the approach. So
Okay,
probably I will reach out to Adriana and then we can have a conversation offline.
definitely.
All right, no problem. Good.
All right, anyone else? Okay, it seems as though, all right. So for those who are being very shy right now, you can still ask your question at any other time. But last but not least, I would like to leave you all with this little video on how Microsoft Fabric all comes together. And anything else after that, you can reach out to Shyla and Adriana, and we can move forward from there. And it has been a great pleasure presenting this to you all. I trust that this would have been very useful and fruitful to you all for what's coming up in the future. Okay, 1 second. Can you all hear the audio?
No, you maybe need
No,
to
okay. Let me
unshare
reshare. Yeah.
and make sure you turn on the sound and then share.
Power your AI transformation by bringing
Is it
all your
working now?
teams and data together on one complete AI-powered data platform, Microsoft Fabric. With OneLake, you get an open and AI-ready data lake for the entire.
Is the audio working now?
Yes, it's working.
Yes, it is.
All right. All right. Sorry. Sorry to discuss it. All right, let's go.
On one complete AI-powered data platform, Microsoft Fabric. With OneLake, you get an open and AI-ready data lake for the entire organization that can connect to data from anywhere in multiple ways, so that all users are working from the same copy across analytics engines. From data integration to data engineering, data science to real-time intelligence, your data professionals have all the tools they need in a pre-integrated and optimized SaaS environment. And they can extend Fabric further with native industry-specific workloads. With the new Fabric databases, you can provision simple, autonomous, and AI-optimized databases in seconds, ready to unlock innovative new scenarios for AI transformation. For large volumes of in-motion data, you can use real-time intelligence to ingest, transform, and explore data for instant insights. And you can define criteria to trigger downstream actions. All this intelligence can then securely flow to Power BI and the Microsoft 365 applications your people use every day, informing their decision-making with insights right where and when they need data the most. And everything is backed by category-leading security, governance, and compliance capabilities. Plus, Fabric empowers your people to accelerate productivity with Copilot and built-in generative AI features. All your data, all your teams, all in one place. This is Microsoft Fabric.
All right. Thank you all very much. And I pass you back to Adriana and Shyla.
Okay, thank you, Stefania. And thank you all for joining us this morning. If you all have any questions, you want to set up any meetings, you can reach out to us. We are here to help. So do have a good rest of the day. Thank you guys again.
Thank you.